Hi everyone, I'm Rockin Robin, and today I'm going to show you how to make my shrimp asparagus pasta salad. Now this is a cold pasta dish made with fresh ingredients. We're going to be using some fresh basil and garlic and parmesan cheese and a few other things. And we're going to top it off with a nice light oil and vinegar based dressing. So it's real easy to put together, and this recipe is great to take on picnics or when you have a little party, a little get together at your house. So I'll tell you all about how to do it in just a minute. So let me go over the ingredients with you so we can get started. Okay, so here's what we need. We're going to need, I got about a pound of pasta here. You can use any kind you like. I happen to like the noodle type shape there. We'll need some already cooked baby shrimps. I've got about a pound to a pound and a quarter. Here I've got some fresh basil out of my garden. We'll need some asparagus. This is fresh asparagus I picked up at the store. I've got about 40 spears here that I'm going to go ahead and we're going to cook in a little bit. Now for our dressing, we're going to need some white wine vinegar. Now don't confuse this with white distilled vinegar because they're very different, so make sure you get the white wine. We'll also need some freshly grated Parmesan cheese, a little bit of sugar. I have some finely diced yellow onion, and I like to do it really fine. If you've watched any of my other videos, I'm always talking about how finely I like to dice this up so that it spreads throughout my pasta dish really well. Now here we'll need some Dijon mustard, and I have some dried basil flakes, some olive oil, and some freshly minced garlic. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and combine all of our ingredients for our dressing. And we're going to put them in a little mason jar and put it in the refrigerator so that it can chill up before we cook the rest of our ingredients. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the white wine vinegar and pour that into a jar. You want to have your jar big enough so that you can actually shake this up a little bit once we get everything in here. Now's the olive oil. Toss in the garlic, the sugar, the dried basil. Toss in, this is the mustard, and the Parmesan cheese. Now we'll just cover it with a lid and shake it up. Now I'll place this in the fridge while we're preparing the rest of our dish. So now that we have our dressing made and it's chilling in the refrigerator, what I'm doing now is I've got a couple of pots on the stove over there. One is to cook the noodles in, and the other is a big frying pan that I have about a quarter filled with water to cook my asparagus. So we need to do that and chill that down before we can combine everything together. So now we're going to move into the asparagus and getting that ready. So give your asparagus a good rinse under the water, get all the dirt off of it. Alright, so now that everything's washed off, I want to trim off the ends because this part down here is going to be, you know, very stiff and tough. So it pretty much broke off. I grab it down here and I just twist it off. You can use these as a guide and trim the rest of your asparagus, or you can do each one individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off a couple inches. Now that we've got everything trimmed up here, now we're ready to go ahead and cook it over at the stove. And I want to mention that these spears here are fairly thin compared to some. So these are going to take less time than, say, a very thick stock would take. So we'll talk more about that over at the stove. All right, so my water for the pasta is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. Let that cook. That'll probably cook for about 8 minutes. And the asparagus is only going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. So now I'm ready to go ahead and place the asparagus into the pan of water here. So just do that carefully and turn up the heat. I'm turning it up to, you know, a good medium high, and once this starts to simmer a bit, it's going to only take about 3 to 4 minutes, and we'll test it with a fork. We want the asparagus to be a little bit firm. We don't want it to be mushy because that would be not so good in a pasta salad. So we want this to be firm with a nice, maybe just a slight crunch to it. And I'm going to go ahead and cover the asparagus just to get it to boil quicker. Okay, once I got this to a boil, I took the lid off. It's been 3 minutes and it's time to test them. Yep, that's it. These got to come off What I'm going to do is I'm going to drain these in the colander in the sink and run cold water on them to stop the cooking process. Now, here's the pasta. It's done. I drained it, and now I'm doing the same thing. I'm running cold water over it until it's completely cold. Now, once it's cold, we turn the water off, and we want to drain it really, really well. So we're going to let it sit there. We're going to shake it a bit, and we're going to make sure we get all that water out of it. All right, so now that the asparagus has been cooked and cooled, and the same with the pasta, we're ready to put it all together in a nice big bowl. All right, so we'll pour the pasta into the bowl, and then we'll set that aside. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the asparagus into bite-sized pieces. So meaning about an inch long, okay? All right, so we got all the asparagus cut. Now I'm going to work on the fresh basil, and I'm going to pile the leaves on top of each other. If you've seen other videos of mine, you've seen where I've done this, and it's a technique called chiffonade, and I believe it's French. And so you take your basil and then you roll it up nice and tight, best you can. Hang on to it, and then you're going to make some cuts with it, very thin cuts, which are going to make nice little ribbons of basil to sprinkle in the pasta. So you can see here, you get these nice little ribbons. You see that? And you can cut them if you feel like those are a little too long, you can cut them a little bit. Okay, so now that we've got all the basil cut, place that in our dish. And I'm going to add the onions now. I'll sprinkle them in the bowl. And I'm going to toss this. Give it a nice toss. And now we're ready to add our dressing. All right, so now I'm going to add the shrimp. There's a little bit of moisture in here, so I'm going to kind of squeeze it out a little bit so it doesn't get watery in the salad. So just squeeze it a little bit. Some of the water will come out of the shrimp. Now we'll add our dressing to this, and now you want to toss this really well. So just take your parm and grate a little bit more right on top. And then we're going to place this back in the refrigerator to get everything really nice and chilled before serving for about an hour. All right, so that's how you make my shrimp asparagus pasta salad. It is really easy, and it's so nice and refreshing because it's so light. I added a few things to this recipe just to kind of make it my own, and that was the onions that are finely minced, and so I recommend you do that, and the fresh basil. When you add fresh basil to a dish like this, it just makes it so fresh and so bright. It's incredible. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm serving some up here. I'm gonna give it a little taste for you because I can't wait. I love this flavor. I haven't had this dish in, quite a while. That is so good. It's nice to have a pasta salad that doesn't have, a mayonnaise-based dressing to it. This is so light and delicious. You got to try it. I know you're going to love it. So thanks for watching. Also, I want to do a little shout out. I have a fan that I've become aware of, and her name is Alexis, and she's 7 years old, and she likes to watch my videos. That's what her mother wrote to me and left a comment about. And so Alexis, if you're watching this, I want to tell you that it's really an honor to be able to entertain you and hopefully teach you a little bit about cooking. And I want to encourage you to cook and eat some really good food, cook from scratch, read your labels, and enjoy your food. So anyway, thanks for being my big fan. All right, you're the youngest fan I think I've ever had, so it's pretty special. Anyway, everybody else, thanks for watching. Leave me a comment and subscribe to my channel by clicking that button right up there, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.